Hi, we're going to try a different setup. And I'm going to see how this works for now on, since I already have these introduction pages completed for my students in class. But today is compromises. What is a compromise? That means that somebody wants one thing, somebody else wants another, and you found a way to make it work for both of you. Today, we are going to analyze the issues of the Constitutional Convention, which we are still in that meeting, by creating a news report that explains the different viewpoints that surround the Great Compromise and the Three-Fifths Compromise. The Great Compromise, stupid name in history. Three-Fifths Compromise, we don't do anymore because it has to do with slavery. It's actually a very horrible thing they came up with. Here's what I want you to think of. You can read this opening and think if you can think of compromises for each of these situations. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the Great Compromise. Another word you need to know is delegate. That's a person sent to represent others, an elective representative sent to a conference or convention. So, like with history, we have different names for the same thing. So, just like federal government, United States government, central government, national government are all the same thing. So is like delegate and representative. So just think of those as the same thing. Also, sometimes representatives or delegate, that can sound kind of boring. Every time that you see that, cross it out and write power. If you think of those words as meaning power, then there's a little bit more excitement to that, because the more representatives each state has, the more power they have, the more votes they get to say yes or no to something they like or something they don't. So think of representation as power, and it makes it a little bit more exciting. So I'm going to go to a blank page on here so I can kind of draw some stuff so that you can understand more of what we're doing. So I put in a blank page for me to be able to do that. So we're going to go here to the very end. So I have my blank page. Right now, we are a one branch government. That is how we started the United States of America. That is the country, as country's organization. So this is the legislative branch, and it only has legislative. Well, we're going to shorten that. It only has one leaf. It's called Congress. The problem. So today is not about Fed or anti-Fed. Nope, that's not the argument. Today, the argument today is big versus little. And so the big states start to think, you know what? I have a ton of people. Let's say all these dots are people. My name is, and the people who bring this up is Virginia. They're like, look, we have all these people in Virginia, tons of people. We should have more votes in Congress. So remember, this is the only branch. There's a group of guys, and we only get one vote per state. One vote per state. That's just the way it was. So it didn't matter if you have this many people or you have this many people. You get one vote on a new law. Well, the big states are like, that is not fair. You are saying 5 million is the same as 10. It is not. Well, so here goes a fight. So I'm going to take you, I'll have you read it. I'll explain it first. So you have the big states and the little states fighting over representation. They're fighting over representation. But remember, representation is more exciting if you cross it out and think power. So they're fighting over power. The little states are like, if we do it based on representation, then the big states get to have all the say. Well, after days of arguing, James Madison comes up with this plan, and he says, okay, we'll do both. Hence the Great Compromise, which I don't think is that great of a compromise, because if y'all are arguing whether to go have Mexican food for dinner or barbecue, the compromise is to go to both for dinner. Well, that's our country right now works based on the Great Compromise. They took Congress. Congress is now split into two groups. So you're a congressman if you're in either of these groups. We have one group called the House of Reps, Doesn't this look like great handwriting here? The House of Reps. The House of Reps is based on, ooh, that's bad, population. So we now said, okay, fine, big states, you win. You get a group in Congress. So the more people you have, the more votes you get on a law. You get to send more people to, at this time, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, to vote on a law. The little states, we didn't leave them out. We created a group in Congress called the Senate, which is how it originally works. So, um, on Congress, you get it's equal representation, which means if we say representation equals power, so they have equal power. So equal reps. It doesn't matter if you have 5 people in your state or 5 million. You each get to have 2 senators. House of Representatives means that changes over time. So if everybody moves out of Pennsylvania, then they're going to have less representatives. So we do change that every 10 years. We'll update that, and sometimes it stays the same. So here is welcome to right here is this is all called the Great Compromise right here. The fact that we split Congress, we kept the original group where everyone's equal, but we added the House of Representatives. So today, right now, when we vote on a law, we send here in Texas, we're a pretty big state, the 3rd largest state. We send 36 people to the Capitol building where all Congress is. There's 1 room for the House of Reps and 1 room for the Senate. This today has over 400 people in it because the House of Representatives is big because it's based on population. So someone like Wyoming, where there's not a lot of states that live there, they only send, don't quote me on this, I don't know, 3 or 4 people. There's like not a lot of people in Wyoming. Whereas in Texas, we send 36. But guess what? It doesn't matter if you are big or little. Everyone gets 2 senators. So if we have 50 people, 50 states today, we have 50, and everyone gets 2 senators. How many senators do we have? 50 states, everyone sends 2 senators. Oh, that's right. So we have 100 people in this group, in this branch for senators. And it never changes. This can change. Right now we have 36 based on our population. Because everyone's population is different, I do not have memorized how much each state, how many people each state gets get to send. So this is a great compromise. We changed the legislative branch and split it up into 2 groups, and that's what we do right now. And on Tuesday, every single one of these people in this group are up for election, and actually all 36 could lose their job next Tuesday. They won't, but they are up for election. We elect these people every 2 years. And next Tuesday, we'll find out who loses their job or not. I, in the classroom, have all of our representatives and our 2 senators posted. I'll send you the link I got all those pictures from. That's a pretty easy to understand. So you can see right now who our senators are. No, I don't want grown-ups to feel stupid. I don't want you to go making them feel stupid. I will tell you this. The legislative branch, the people in this branch aren't as popular and well-known. If I ask an adult, who's our president, they can tell you. If you say, who's your current representative, they probably can't tell you. They're just not as popular. Now, if this was the late 1700s, early 1800s, I'm going to tell you right now, people knew because people were more involved in government. Unfortunately, people today, as decades have gone by, became less and less involved in government because we today, as I'm an adult, we take it for granted that we get to vote. We have all of this power to elect people. We take it for granted today. It was way less taken for granted back in the day. So here is what we were just focusing on our legislative branch. Here's your great compromise. I hope this doesn't stay on every page. I probably have to. So what I want, and of course it is. So I'm going to go and erase all this. I'm sure there's erase. So what you're going to do right now is, of course I'm sure there's like a button that erases all of this for me, but I'm not going to play with it right now. While I have you on video. Okay. So the Great Compromise, you're going to read this section right here, and then you're going to fill in this. So small states, what did they want? They wanted equal representation. The Virginia plan, which is the large states, the Virginia plan said, we want representation based on population. Pretty simple. What's a compromise? We're going to have a House of Representatives based on population. We're going to have a Senate with equal representation. Pretty easy. That's what you'll fill in there. Then we have the then that led to, okay, they were like, okay, we have a whole new group in America, an entirely new group, and it's based on representation. So when you have a new group, you have to fill that, which leads to a whole nother problem, which leads us to the 3/5 compromise. If that would change. I'm sorry, but this is going to be kind of disturbing when you think about it. It is disturbing. Slavery is disturbing, and what they did is disturbing on this. So, okay, great. You need to have a whole new group. Everyone's going to have to pick representatives. Everyone already has their senators because that was already a thing. But now we have a new group called the House of Representatives, and people need to pick their representatives. So then someone says, well, okay, so do you count all the people living in your state, right? Well, yeah. But then someone says, okay, in the South, they say, we're going to count our slaves. The North says, whoa, no, you're not. Welcome to the 3/5 compromise. Here's another fight. This fight is North versus South. The North says, you are not counting your slaves. And the South says, yes, we are. Because remember, representation equals power. And if the South has a higher population in their state, that means they get more votes. And they're scared if they don't get more votes, the North, which has a higher population, is going to, if it comes to a vote where you have to vote to end slavery or not, they're going to end slavery. Or it could be any other law they're voting on. So the South says we have to get more representation because remember, representation equals power. So in the North, they say, oh my gosh, you are not counting your slaves. You don't even treat them like people, and you don't even let them vote. So no, you can't count them. But the South says they're people, they're living, they're humans in the South, so you should be able to have them go towards representation. And unfortunately, here is the 3/5 compromise. They decide for every 5 slaves, you can count 3 of them and pretend they're free people and count them towards your population. That's disturbing. We don't have this anymore. It is in the Constitution, but it has been when we abolish slavery, that means that part of our Constitution no longer exists. And so there's now 2 types of population. There's the people who actually live, human beings in your state, and then there's the human beings that go towards population. So you will read this again, and then in the South, what did they want? They wanted to count who? They wanted to count slaves towards population. The North didn't want to count any. Here's another fight. Somebody wants something, somebody wants something. It's 2 opposite things, and they come up with a compromise, although this compromise is disturbing and we don't use anymore. So the 3/5 compromise is for every 5 slaves, 3 of them are counted towards your population. Of course, we don't do that anymore at all. If you are a human in that state, you're counted towards your population. So you will fill in these 3 parts here. Okay, so the last thing you're going to do is take what you learned. You don't rewrite history. Don't make this complicated. Do we have a meeting? Jensen, do we have a meeting? She's not listening. Do we have a meeting? Okay, I'm coming. Okay. Let me finish this up real quick and tell you what to do. And again, don't rewrite history. Don't make this difficult. You are taking your notes, and all you are doing is rewriting what you just learned. So don't make this more difficult than it has to be. So you're going to write this in a news report. The first issue was about what? The large states wanted what? The small states wanted what? And so what was the solution? Again, use your notes. Don't make this that difficult. Another issue was, now we're talking about the 3/5 compromise. What does the North want? What does the South want? What's the solution? And in the end, so just kind of close that out. You're just summarizing what we just learned. Don't make this difficult. If you have any questions, of course, just write them in Google Classroom or send me an email. I'll also attach a video that can explain it to you, so you're not just hearing my voice also.